So, Resident Evil Damnation. Based on the best-selling video game, Resident Evil Damnation takes place at the Eastern Slav Republic, where Leon S. Kennedy is investigating the country. There, he finds out a small group of freedom fighters have the ability to control lickers. And they plan to use these creatures to topple their governments. Now he must find a way to stop these freedom fighters and to find out why Ada Wong is working with the Slavic government. This film is a prequel to the recently released Resident Evil 6, and it is by far the best Resident Evil movie. So far. But there are a few things about the film that do bug me. I mean, besides the fact that this movie has zombies and monsters, the story deals with a lot of things. Like political power, governments, terrorism, rebellion, loyalty, and biological warfare, all in this simplistic but enjoyable story. But, is the film scary? I have to admit the film is actually more action-based rather than scary, but I have to admit it does give me a few shakes, which the previous Resident Evil didn't even do. As for the characters, if you're a fan of the games, you are definitely going to be happy that Leon and Ada are in this film. Another character that I have to mention is JD, and no, it's not because JD is also the same name as JD from Nash Incorporated Reviews. For some reason, the character sort of reminds me of Roman Bellic from Grand Theft Auto 4. Not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but regardless of that, I like the relationship between him and Leon. It sort of reminds me of the relationship between Cole and Zeke from Infamous. The visuals in this film were done by Digital Frontier, who worked on video games and movies like the Resident Evil games, the Tekken games, and they even did their movies, Degeneration and Tekken Blood Vengeance. The visuals in this film are almost fantastic. The computer graphics here look fantastic. I mean, the characters and the locations look tremendous. Even the monsters, even though they kind of look a little bit animatronic looking, look good too. My favorite part of this film is the opening. They use these quaint, nice water-painted drawings that look very similar to the endings in the Resident Evil games. I mean the old ones, not the new ones. And it really brings nostalgia of the old school video games. Now, if you're going to ask why did I say almost, well, for me, the biggest problem here is the 3D. Now, I didn't see this movie with 3D glasses, but I can tell which scene is definitely made for 3D. And I have to admit, the problem here is that the 3D is too in your face, rather than being natural. I mean, comparing this to Resident Evil Retribution, there are scenes in that film where it can be good and it can be silly. But at least in that movie, they incorporate the distance and the visuals to make the 3D work. But here, it's like the director figures that the closer the person, item, or thing is in front of the camera, the better the 3D. That's not how 3D works! Hell, you're making Paul W.S. Anderson look like James Cameron. But you never thought I'd say that, did you? The acting in this film is also amazing, but there is just one itty-bitty little thing that sort of brought out the angry fanboy in me. First off, there's Leon, who was originally played by Paul Mercier in Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil Degeneration. He has been replaced by Matthew Mercer. Now, even though the actors change, Matthew actually is almost a dead ringer for Paul's voice. I mean, you could barely tell the difference. And I have to admit, I have to give 2 thumbs up for finding an actor who can actually sound very similar to Paul. And then there's Ada, played by Courtney Taylor. Look, no offense to the new actress Courtney Taylor, but to me, Sally Cahill was the best Ada since the day I heard her voice in Resident Evil 2. I mean, when Sally played Ada, she had a deep, tough, and sexy voice, and it really matches with Ada's characteristics. She is as unreplaceable as Alison Court playing Claire Redfield, and if Capcom changes that actress, that company is dead to me. The music in this film is imaginable, but unnoticeable. What that means is that if somebody asks me, "Hey Hardy, what does a Resident Evil music sound like? The recent ones?" And then I would say, it would be adventurous with a mixture of a horror theme to it. And by the time I saw this movie, that's pretty much what I saw. And I also said unnoticeable is because it didn't really grab my attention. I mean, it does have a nice horror theme mood, but it made my mind completely blank. And I think that's sort of a good thing. In the end, Resident Evil Damnation is a flawed but enjoyable movie. It does take a few creepy steps that is better compared to the previous movie, Resident Evil The Generation, and fans of this franchise are gonna like it. So, that's my review of Resident Evil Damnation. I give this film a 3 out of 5. See ya!